Hi, Ron from Clarity. This video is going to cover the 5 secrets that we've compiled to help you scale your e-commerce ongoing and into the future. So let's dive right into it. Number 1, automate repetitive tasks. Anything you can do with AI to automate tasks is really good. And that's what AI specializes in. Anything that is repetitive, anything that has defined outcomes that can be replicated, those are easily done with AI. Things that require, sit down and come up with a new recipe that tastes really good, it's not going to be able to do that, right? That's where the human creativeness really comes into play. But anything that can be repetitive, anything that is human intervention, anything that can be analyzed, AI does really, really well with that. Number 2, use containerization for deployments. That has become a big thing for us. I remember, I've been here 12 and a half years, but it was about 8 years ago. I asked the team to do a custom install for a demo site for me, and I think it was about 4 or 5 hours for them to get the whole thing deployed. So Chris and I sat down and we decided we needed an installer. The team built an installer and it took it down from 4 or 5 hours down to 48 minutes, something like that, but it was about an hour. And that's what we've used for probably the last 6 or 7 years. But about a year ago, we've done a lot with Azure and containers and Kubernetes and things like that. And so now we've kind of mastered the containerization, especially when it comes to automating load balancing and deployments for CI/CD and for expansion for elastic deployments. Anyway, I asked Eric, our CTO, a couple days ago, I said, hey, we've got a new platform we're working on. I said, I need a demo site of that. And he goes, well, let me spin it up. And they had developed a new API endpoint that could be hit for automated deployment to scale. And he hit that endpoint, and 47 seconds later, I had a deployment ready to go using containerization. So that's just the progression in just a few years. Use containerization, look into it. It's worth your while. Number 3, tracking your key performance metrics for data handling. What kinds of things are you going to be looking at with your HIPAA environment? Well, you want to look at things like data processing rates. You want to look at error rates. You want to look at the number of times multiple threads. Our platform has an N number level of threads for the integration. So if you're tracking these things, for our platform, it's not software limited. All you'd have to do is go in and say, instead of 2 worker threads, you go into the config file and say, I want 6 worker threads. And then you reboot IIS, restart the service, and it comes up and spins up 6 threads. And now it's 3 times faster because it went from 2 to 6 worker threads. Now, obviously, you have to have the hardware to support that, right? The RAM and the processor power to handle 6 worker threads. But we've got one client that was processing over 60,000 syncs an hour, and they were running 64 threads. And so all they had to do was just bump up their hardware performance, and it was a simple configuration. But that's because we designed the software to scale. Number 4, onboarding a dedicated compliance monitor partner. Someone who knows HIPAA, someone who knows these logs, knows how to read the logs, knows how to go in and implement AI to read the logs and automatically extract out, find errors, bubble them up to the partner who knows what to do with those, how to mitigate them, and how to ensure that you maintain your compliance. And the final one, implement a robust caching system without exposing risks to your PHI. How do you do that? By additional load balancing, additional caching, things like Cloudflare and Capsula. There's caching tools out there that do server-side caching, but you want to make sure not to violate HIPAA and cache any PHI data. So how do we do that? Well, that's when we implement either fully HIPAA environments that are fully compliant, or we use the HIPAA tokenization. We talked about this in numerous videos. Tokenization is similar to, I've got my Chase app on my phone. I click a button. Once it authenticates my face or my thumbprint, it opens up the app. And in the background, the token on my phone goes and authenticates with a Chase vault up in the cloud and says, I've authenticated Ron for bank account 1234. Please send me account balances for checking, credit card, savings. Those balances come down, boom, they display on my phone. There's no money on my phone, but I can see all those balances because the tokens that are stored on my phone, once they're authenticated, could go up into the cloud and grab that encrypted and protected data from their banking vault, if you will. Same thing with tokenization. This also allows us to use things like NetSuite and other ERPs that salespeople might be in, and they're working and they need to deal with patients. But NetSuite by default is not HIPAA compliant. So how can we display and get those sales reps the HIPAA information they need about certain patients? Well, tokenization will do that. We can store tokens very simply in NetSuite because it uses an SSL certificate, and because, like my Chase banking app on my phone, in real time when they launch and say, oh, go get me patient record for Ron Halverson, it can go up into the EMR, grab that token, pull down the few pieces of data that that person is allowed to see under their scoped-based role, displays that PHI data in the screen, and then when they leave that screen, that data is not persisted or stored in NetSuite, which maintains their HIPAA compliance. Real quick review. Number 1, automate repetitive compliance tasks with AI. Number 2, use containerization technology for expansion, disaster recovery, failover, development environments, staging environments. Number 3, tracking your performance key metrics for data handling so you know when to scale when there are problems. Number 4, onboard and partner with a dedicated compliance monitoring partner who can help read the logs, mitigate the issues, tell you exactly what needs to be done when issues arise to maintain your HIPAA compliance. And the final one, implementing robust caching without exposing PHI data. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.